encouraged to celebrate their faith and enter the public arena in lively, vigorous debate on all political and ethical issues of the time. They should be allowed to do it with pride and dignity. Such an attitude will spark flourishing of scholarly and artistic renaissance, the likes of which we have never seen. They should also be encouraged to exercise their freedoms in prime public space and Christianity. Christians in the UK are beginning to feel under siege. That also goes for Europe and America. They feel that their rights do not matter more. This means in the next 10 years you will have a hollow institutional churches with leaders who are ultra-moderate who do not speak for the majority of the Christian community. Many Christians will start to move into house churches away from the mainline churches that have capitulated to the secular agenda. Many evangelical leaders sense this is going to happen. If tens of thousands of Christians go underground, this will speak the death knell of democracy, for a strong opposing voice has been silenced. More orthodox Christian leaders need to step up to the mark and enter the public arena and debate the Christian view. They must do it even if the age does not want it. They must do it, and the secular defenders of a democracy need to listen even if the secular disagrees. For their ideas are not infallible. For the secular must defend its ideas by reason and evidence and not dogma. The secular must protect the minority, or its own voice will die by complacency. For a few years now, we Christians have been on the back foot, reacting to situations, taking public bodies to court if they infringe our rights, but feeling we are losing the war. We need a much more proactive view of democracy and rights. We must enter the public arena and fight for a better understanding of democracy than the one that has been fed us, an understanding that truly defends the rights of all. In defending other rights, we ensure our own rights. Part of that proactive strategy is to take back prime public space for all. Some may feel as Christians I have sold out to secularism. No, I hold to all-time Bible-believing Christianity. True democracy can be summed up in this: do unto others as you would have done to you. We also have a theological framework which our understanding of democracy is built on: public space and preaching. My ideas have direct impact on preaching, which I love. Preaching has had a history of 2,000 years. Preaching is at the very heart of Christianity. For a secular society to outlaw preaching, it would destroy a long history and be a powerful signal to the Christian community that they are not wanted. Street preachers represent that history and the whole Christian faith. They are seen in our land often by most as an irritant. Most would just wish they would go away. But as long as they show due respect for the people around them, they should be allowed to preach. Street preaching has been a means of powerful social upheaval for good. Characters do not fit the mold have come on the stage and upset the whole political and cultural realm. It happened in the time of John Wesley. Thousands of street preachers sprang up, and it led to a wonderful change in the moral tone of the nation. These street preachers, few they may be, but they are vital for a healthy democracy. People will have to debate with them. This will make them reason and give evidence. It will make them think. If the street preachers cannot give reason and evidence back, then public will move on and feel that they have just heard unadulterated dogma and not bother again. If the preachers give good reasons for their beliefs, it will have helped the secular opponents to at least understand why they believe their secular values. When Middleton Town Centre and other public spaces are taken back for the people, I hope people would begin to appreciate street preaching more as a vital component in a democratic society. You never know, but the nation might need street preachers once again in the future. Next, Fair journalism and the tradition. In order for public space to be taken back for all people, including Muslim and Christian and other groups that may feel alienated from the public process, in order to protect street preaching, we need a media that can handle the job. The reason why I've read stacks of essays and read John Stuart Mill these last few days and clarified my views is because a journalist made me feel I was a valued member of the democratic process. This journalist provides information on public issues for all sides so you can debate and have an informed choice. I find this liberating. Journalism is at the heart of a democracy. A weak press and a democracy will die. Journalism is in crisis for various economic and social reasons. Maybe one role it can play is to empower, to facilitate the powerless, to help them tell their stories, to provide journalists can help people tell their stories, to provide people with information from various shades of the political spectrum on any given issue, a kind of fair pedagogy, pedagogy, can't pronounce it, fair teaching of journalism. Combined with this, there needs to be a return to the grand tradition of objective reporting. Journalists need to really start believing in democracy again and not be so cynical. Renewal and national resistance will start with them. They need to stick together from all sides of the political spectrum and cry out for a new democracy based on more classical model. They need to fight with all their might. In parenthesis, we've seen how much of the major journalists recently are just been pushed around by those who run the political and economic agenda. Just an aside. The grand tradition must return and bring back some sense and proportion to the nonsense that is going around in the name of democracy but is really a fool's gold. Public space in the Middle East. We must always remember that others are watching us. One Muslim scholar, Tariq Ramadan, has noted how the Western leaders have supported Middle East dictators, and yet they preach to these same Middle Eastern countries about the virtues of democracy. If we have lost credibility on the international stage with our double standards about the application of democracy, let us hope we can show some consistency with our own borders. New democratic states that look to Western countries as models will not be impressed if its own people cannot even use its own town centres for their democratic rights. Enemies of democracy will exploit these glaring inconsistencies, putting in jeopardy the fragile democracies that might emerge. How can it be inspiring for these Muslim countries to be democratic when the UK, Europe and American people cannot stand outside their own parliament to protest? Incarnational politics and the end of the Tinseltown Westminster. Our elected representatives have a credibility gap with the UK people. There is an unreality in Westminster and at Washington for that matter. It is in its own, they are in their own little dream world playing their own little games. They fool themselves into thinking they are doing democracy. Is 24-hour media spin and getting back handers from big business really democracy? Is that what it's really all about? Politicians need to come out of their ivory towers and go people. MPs should spend a month working in a hospital with a mop in hand and clean the hospital floor. They should see this as a lifestyle. The same should be done with the senators at Washington. They should take some time out each year and do these jobs with the people they represent. One MP could spend a month working in the fire brigade. Another senator could spend a month working in the police as a police officer on the beat. This is much better than an MP sat in a surgery waiting for thought to come to them, or a senator sat at Washington drinking a little bit of coffee and not doing anything. This is better than coming out to the public when you want to be elected or for a photo shoot for your party magazine. This would restore confidence in our leaders like nothing before. It would bring renewal to democracy. It would mean that public spaces would be more likely protected because the MP and senators love the people and the people love their political leaders. This is what I would call incarnational politics. Just as Jesus Christ came down to be amongst the people, so our politicians need to do the same. Public space and secret societies. If public spaces are to be protected for the democratic rights of all, then secret societies need to be rooted out of the democratic process. No public official should be allowed to take office unless they inform Parliament or Washington of their membership of such secret societies. No contracts by local government should be signed unless all board members of the said company declare